2020 Special Board of County Commissioners meeting. I'm Kate Flavin, Public Information Officer with Sedgwick County. This meeting can be viewed on KPTS Channel 8, on Sedgwick County's Facebook page, and our YouTube channel this morning. We are also social distancing in this room. Commissioners have plexiglass panels between them, and staff are also wearing masks as well. This weekend is Halloween, so Health Director Adrian Byrne is here to offer us a few pieces of guidance on how to celebrate safely.
Good morning, Commissioners and Board of Health. Adrian Byrne, Health Director. So Saturday is Halloween, and there are, I think, quite a few of us that love Halloween. I know Lindsay and I are big Halloween people, decorating and like dressing up. And so even though this year we have COVID and it is recommended that we modify things, that the traditional door-to-door is not recommended. However, we know that some people are going to do that, so I would like to talk about some safety tips with that. If it's important to go to neighborhoods that aren't densely populated as far as a lot of kids going at one time. And when going up to the door, it's important that one family go up at one time. And I know that some neighborhoods just already historically do that. But to do that and to not have grab bowls where kids are putting their hands in the bowl and taking out candy. I've read some pretty creative ways that people are coming up to dispense the candy, like creating some type of a chute where the candy will go down and go into the basket as they hold it down, or someone can just drop it into the child's bag without touching hands. So that is important. I know that there are some houses to go through, and for any of those haunted houses, avoid those touch points, and those touch points are those things that are commonly touched by people, because that's a big way that we do pass our germs. For those that are that are following the recommendations of Center for Disease Control and our state health department and our health department, and not doing traditional trick-or-treating, there's still time to buy pumpkins and do some carving, can still dress up, and can all show relatives through Zoom and just have some fun that way. Through social media and on our web, we do have those Halloween safety tips. As always, it's important to remember to wear our masks safely. I have been seeing more masks under the nose recently, and that kind of defeats the purpose. So it's important for it to have a good snug fit and to cover your mouth and nose. And when you get home, try to wait to eat any candy until everyone's home and can wash their hands. It's hard to wait, but make sure that you do that. And if you see neighbors or people that you know when you're out trick-or-treating, instead of stopping and talking, wave hi and keep on going to the next house. So if you are doing the traditional trick-or-treating this year, please be safe and follow these precautions. Don't go to the steps until the next person is back down onto the street. There are still plenty of neighborhoods that have a lot of decorations in their yard and their house. Traditionally, College Hill is an area where kids are bussed in. And this year, most of College Hill are having no candy, but come look at our decorations. And so drive around. That's another activity that we can do to celebrate Halloween. So whatever you do, have fun and be safe.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I don't see any questions.
Thank you. And on the agenda this morning, we have a discussion related to the CARES Act, bid board, and there's a brief fire agenda as well. So, Chairman, I will hand the meeting to you this morning.
Thank you, Kate. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the special meeting of Wednesday, October 28th of the Board of County Commissioners. Just to clarify to the public and a reminder for our commission that we have regularly scheduled meetings for the year, and then we have any time we can call a special meeting by either the under the rules by the chair or any three or more commissioners. We have been calling for special meetings. Well, we've had a lot this year, set a world record, I'm sure. But we have a series of special meetings called between now and the end of the year, and primarily to get the business of the the commission and the county done related to CARES. Again, the disbursement of the funds that are required to be dispersed under the CARES Act between now by the end of the year. So that's why we've been having a bunch of special meetings. You'll notice the difference in a special meeting is there's no prayer, there we don't do the Pledge of Allegiance, it has no public comment. It is a special meeting intended for the efforts of there. And if you're following at home, the agenda today, we do have kind of a little bit of agenda that we do have the CARES agenda, and that's got a series of receiving files and votes. I've been requested to have an off-agenda item related to a Board of County Commissioners for today, and we will take that up, a special item at the end of our business, right after the consent agenda. We will recess to a very, very brief fire agenda, and then we will come back from recess with the fire agenda, and then we will do the off-agenda item at that time. So that's just so everybody knows what's going on for the day. With that, welcome to the commission meeting, and Madam Clerk, next item, please.
Roll call. Commissioner O'Donnell?
Present.
Commissioner Dennis?
Present.
Commissioner Howell?
Present.
Commissioner Cruz?
Present.
Chairman Meitzner.
Present. Madam Clerk, next item, please.
Consideration of minutes. Item A, regular meeting minutes of October 7th, 2020.
Commissioners, you have received a copy of the minutes of the October 7th meeting. If there's any questions or comments, if not, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of October 7th.
Second.
Been a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner O'Donnell?
Aye.
Commissioner Dennis?
Aye.
Commissioner Howell?
Aye.
Commissioner Cruz?
Aye.
Chairman Meitzner.
Aye. Madam Clerk, next item, please.
New business. Item B, discussion of the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act.
Chairman and Commissioners, good morning. Tom Stills, County Manager. As usual, the CARES item is busy but a brief today. We'll have four speakers. Mike Fessinger will get up first and talk about a contract that he was able to accomplish late yesterday with Wichita State in regard to testing. And also there is a joint agreement with that contract, so you will be voting on two items separately. Brent Shelton will get up next and talk about external funding. He will have one vote item where you will be approving some funding going out the door. Actually, you'll be doing two votes on Brent's part, and then one receive and file on PPE distribution and other items that are more mundane. Lindsay will get up and ask for funding for modular furniture for the health department. That will require a vote. And then she has her normal update of all the finances of CARES, and that will be a receive and file. And finally, Tanya will get up to request some additional monies for communications in regard to CARES management. That will require a vote. So we'll step this along the way, and I think each speaker will kind of ask you when an action is required. So, Mike, if you'd start us up with the contract, please.
Thanks for outlining that, Tom. Morning, Mike.
Good morning, Commissioners. Mike Fessinger, Assistant County Counselor. As Tom said before you, first thing this morning are two agreements with Wichita State University. The first is a lab services agreement. It's captioned Surveillance Testing Services Agreement, in which we, through our health department, will contract with WSU for COVID-19 testing services in their new laboratory that was stood up with CARES Act funds. The testing rates in this agreement are lower than other agreements that we currently have. The saliva testing will cost $34.10 per test. That's down from $90 with our CRL contract. And the 3-target nasopharyngeal test will cost $55 per test. Again, there's a savings there. This agreement allows the county to send WSU up to 400 tests per week for the first 2 weeks of the agreement. That's to give WSU time to spin up their lab services for us. After those 2 weeks, we can send up to 5,000 specimens per week. Those are numbers that were proposed by our health department through Tim Kaufman and were accepted by WSU. So they should be sufficient for our purposes. To be clear, we're not locked into sending any samples to WSU per week. We just have an upper ceiling that we may send to them. As for the second agreement, it's an ancillary agreement between us and WSU that contains some due diligence terms that were strongly recommended by Whit O'Brien's, our consultant, BKD, our auditor, our Department of Finance, and myself. In a nutshell, in this secondary agreement, both parties are simply agreeing not to commingle CARES Act funds from multiple sources. This agreement shouldn't affect and will not affect how the parties perform the overarching lab services agreement, but it should help us down the line in doing our due diligence when we are audited. It should help us avoid perhaps more invasive audits down the line, just to show that we've done this work up front to ensure that we're following all federal legislation that's relevant to this. So it's my recommendation that you approve both agreements, and I'd be happy to stand for any questions at this time.
Okay, Mike, thank you very much. I know there's been a lot of work on both sides to get to this agreement. Thank you, Commissioner Dennis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. When Chairman Meitzner and I were on a conference on Monday with Greater Wichita Partnership, Dr. Tomlin mentioned that the prices may come down as it moves forward. Are we locked into this $34.70 and this $55, or as their expenses go down, will our cost of testing go down?
The parties can come together and renegotiate at any time. The prices are contained in sort of an appendix at the end that is easy to swap out. So it is anticipated that prices could change, although there's nothing in the contract requiring that they change. It's up to the parties to come together and renegotiate that.
Okay, but we're not locked into that, in other words. We
Correct.
can lower it as their costs lower.
That's right.
Very good. I'm good with both of them. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, I appreciate it. Then Commissioner Cruz?
Thank you, Chairman. I know that there was a lot of back and forth between both WSU and Sedgwick County and yourself. So I know that this was not an easy one to negotiate, and I just want to say thank you for taking the time to do your due diligence. I know there was a lot of conversations, Lindsay, and between our audit firm. So I feel like I feel good about this. I hope that we can get those prices even lower than $30 a test, but that's pretty good compared to what we're doing right now. So I appreciate the work that went into this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I don't see other comments. Congratulations on this, and we're going to have a great partner that's local, and hopefully our whole community and our school districts and our businesses will be able to enjoy what we call rapid testing and at a nice price. So thanks for your work. So with that, I'll make a motion to approve the services agreement, which also includes the addendum.
It would be two separate agreements.
Okay.
I would move to approve both agreements.
I move to approve both agreements. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second to approve both of the WSU agreements. Don't see other comments. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner O'Donnell? Commissioner Dennis?
Aye.
Commissioner Howell?
Aye.
Commissioner Cruz?
Aye.
Chairman Meitzner?
Aye. Motion carries. Congratulations again. Next item is up. Brent. Good morning and welcome back, Brent.
Thank you, sir. Good morning, Chairman Meitzner, members of the County Commission. For the record, I'm Brent Shelton, your Deputy CFO. As we've been doing for the past several weeks, I'll visit about the 4 external funding programs that we have underway utilizing CARES funds. The first 2 I'll be requesting a motion and a vote, and then the next 2 will be receive and file. So the first one is in our public health and social services agencies, where $18 million has been allocated to fund agencies that are responding to the COVID pandemic. The Financial Stimulus Review Team, as we've mentioned before, meets every Monday morning at 9 a.m., and they are reviewing the applications that we've received. All applications that have been received to date at the time of that meeting have been vetted, and the committee recommends $324,055 in additional awards to 8 different agencies. I sent you an email earlier this week with an outline of what those 8 agencies are, and I would request at this time approval of the BOCC of those award recommendations.
Okay, thank you. I know you received a copy of them, so I don't see any questions. I'll
Okay.
make a motion to approve as presented.
Second.
Been a motion and a second. I don't see any other comment. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner O'Donnell? Aye. Commissioner Dennis?
Aye.
Commissioner Howell?
Aye.
Commissioner Cruz?
Aye.
Chairman Meitzner?
Aye, motion carries. Okay, that was your first thing.
Okay.
Next.
Second item is our Safe Operating Grants Program. Those are the $5,000 grants
Right.
that are awarded to businesses and nonprofits throughout Sedgwick County. As I mentioned last week, that portal did close on October 18th. After we have gone through and eliminated some of the duplicate applications that we received, we're currently processing 1,077 applications. The amount of those requested is $5,303,666. We continue to issue checks in our normal check runs every Tuesday and Thursday, and currently we have paid out, as of last night, $1,176,250 to 238 applicants. This process has been retooled in the last week, and a couple of enhancements that we've made to the process is that as we have gotten better and our reviewers are understanding the applications and finding out what's needed and so forth, we're removing one of the steps in the review process so that these are going to be moving through to the contracting and check writing stage a little faster. We've also contracted with DRS, one of our consultants, to add 5 reviewers from their shop. So we're basically doubling our capacity. So we're going to be going through these much faster as we go forward in an effort to get the funds out to the community in a much faster pace than we've been able to do in the past. One other enhancement that we made was improving the software on the front end. So some of the required fields where we're going back to get additional information. Now the applicant has to fill that out, speaking to the expenses that they've incurred to fight the pandemic or to respond to COVID. So that is helping move that process through a little faster. It's one of those things that with all of this that we were learning as we were going, we're getting better, and I think that we'll see these beginning to go through the pipeline much faster going forward. So because there's additional capacity left in the allocations for this program, I would request the commission approval to reopen that portal until one of two things happens. We've either exhausted the funds or we have reached, or until November 30th of 2020. That would give us time to reallocate any unspent or unused funds prior to the end of the year.
Okay, I would agree that I like the process that you've done. We opened the portal, we taken a series of applications into that bucket, and they're approved, funded, and then whatever's still left over, then we go back and open the bucket or open the portal. So your request is to reopen the portal for the, what do we call this bucket?
This is
Safe
safe operating grants. Yes.
And this is the 5,000 grant, either till the funds are exhausted or November 30th, whichever comes first.
Correct.
So I'll make that motion, but Commissioner Cruz also has a question.
Did you say 1,077? Is that what you said? How many we had?
That's right.
So we had 300 duplicates?
Yes. I think a lot of times we've seen that someone has entered the application, then said, oh, I needed to upload something. They can't go back into that application once it's submitted, so they've resubmitted. So part of the process is which one's the best one.
Okay, so we have, we allocated 7.5 million, right?
Correct.
So we have up to 1,500 applications. So we're roughly about 425 applications short.
Right.
So all the media that's here, please make sure to tell those in our community that there's 400 opportunities for a safe operating grant, and you have until November 30th to apply for this. So I hope that we make that clear to our community, because once those funds are done. Okay, so how quickly do you expect to get those those roughly 700 applications that you have left to get through completed?
What we're seeing now is that by removing one of the review steps and picking that up in the first step of our review process and doubling our capacity, I think we're moving from what would take 4 days to process, a number that would take 4 days to process, we should be able to do that in 1.5 days. So we're going to be moving through these a lot quicker going forward.
Okay. So now let's talk hypotheticals about November 30th.
Okay?
What if we don't get 400 applications? Are we going to consider a safe or a business interruption grant that I've been talking about for those in our community who have zero revenue coming in, who were shut down first and have yet to open, like Wave, Cotillion, Orpheum, all of those really cultural places that we need in our community? Are we going to consider that as an option after November 30th?
Well, the advice that we received from consultants is that there wasn't, we had a date of about October 7th, that beyond that date, there wasn't time to sufficiently and correctly set up a program that would meet with the federal guidelines and that we could do safely to the county. So it's going to be extremely difficult to do something with the CARES funds for those businesses. As tough as that situation is, it just, we've approached it from several different avenues, and I don't have a way forward to make that happen.
So you're saying the ship has sailed?
That's what I would say, yes.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
That's really unfortunate.
It is.
Okay, so are we, after November 30th, if we have funds, will it be brought back here for the commission to decide which bucket those remaining dollars will then be allotted to?
Yes, ma'am, because you've got the CARES spending plan.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a VOCC approved plan that we'll be then looking to you for guidance on reallocating funds.
So one additional question, because I think a while back, Lindsay, you mentioned that there were CARES requirements, different rules that were coming out once every 7 days or 9 days. If there is an extension, I do believe there was a senator who drafted a piece of legislation to extend these funds. I would just hope that there is an opportunity, if this does get extended, that we could consider those business interruption grants. I think it's important that we listen to those in our community that are struggling, about to shut down, and that's something that I hope that we can all, as commissioners up here, contact our federal partners to see what we can do to get that done. That's all the questions I have, Brent. Thank you for your work. Please relay that information to your team. I think you guys have gone above and beyond this year to get this money out to those in our community, and I just can't thank you enough to you and your team.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Cruz. So I did make a motion to reopen the Safe Operating Grant portal till the funds are exhausted, or November 30th, whichever is.
Second.
There's a second. Any other comments, questions? Being none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner O'Donnell? Aye. Commissioner Dennis?
Aye.
Commissioner Howell?
Aye.
Commissioner Cruz?
Aye.
Chairman Meitzner?
Aye. The portal is open as of 9:30 this morning?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you, Brent. Right, next up, I think it's still you.
And the next two items involve our PPE kit distribution program. The distribution at the arena is no longer happening. We distributed about 90% of those kits. We still have some remaining. Kyle Fiedler, who has done a phenomenal job of coordinating that program on our behalf, is now in contact with some chambers, some other business associations, in an attempt to get kits to places so that we can get them out to businesses. Nursing homes have been hard hit. They're a place that we're looking to distribute kits to, as well as some of our public health care providers. So we're making an effort to get the rest of those kits distributed to those that need them. And finally, all of the agreements for the workforce development programs with Wichita State, or WSU Tech, with Friends University and Workforce Alliance have been signed, returned, and they are in the process of standing up their programs, providing that training, procuring that equipment, and so forth. So I'll answer any questions that you might have. Otherwise, I would recommend that you receive and file.
Okay. A quick question on those, on the workforce agreements, alliance. So those are all done and solid, and then we've, just part of the process is the checks distributed to those people?
Right. Those will be on a reimbursement basis. So
Okay,
as they
that's right.
procure
Thank you for-
items or do training, then they'll submit invoices and we'll reimburse them.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much. I'll make a motion to receive and file those two reports. Thanks on the PPE kit as well.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to receive and file the PPE kit update and the agreement on the workforce agreements. There's a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner O'Donnell? Aye. Commissioner Dennis?
Aye.
Commissioner Howell?
Aye.
Commissioner Cruz?
Aye.
Chairman Meitzner?
Aye. Okay, next up. Good morning, Lindsay.
Good morning, Chairman. Good morning, Commissioners. Lindsay Poruso, your CFO. So I have two items to present to you this morning. First of all, I sent you a note late yesterday, and again, I apologize for the late notice on that, but knowing that we don't have another meeting until November 18th, I wanted to make sure we got this in front of you. So the Health Department has requested some funding for some additional furniture to go into their space on 9th Street. The funding would provide modular furniture for about 45 office spaces. It's just in excess of $130,000. It's pretty basic cubicle space. It had not been anticipated that that space at 9th Street would be available until the city of Wichita moved out in January, but they've now agreed to move out earlier, and so this will be a great thing in the long run because it will allow Health Department temporary COVID staff to actually move into their facility and avoid lease costs. So though it's an investment, it's certainly something that we can use in the long term as that building will be ours permanently starting in January. So I would recommend that you approve the purchase of that modular furniture as my first item today.
Okay. And did you say the price that we're approving?
It's $132,000.
Up to something like that?
I think $314. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's all right. And so it's a finite number, it's not a up to that you're requesting?
Right, it's based off of a contract.
Right, okay. I'll make a motion to approve that.
Second.
Been a motion and a second to approve the health modular furniture. Any other comments? Being none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner O'Donnell? Aye. Commissioner Dennis? Commissioner Howell?
Aye.
Commissioner Cruz?
Aye.
Chairman Meitzner?
Aye.
Okay, thank you,
Motion carries.
Commissioners. My next item
Okay.
then is our typical spending update, and this will be a receive and file at the end. The first thing, though, I want to mention, Commissioner Cruz referenced OIG guidance earlier, Treasury guidance. We did get some new guidance on October 19th that we are absorbing. It does have some pretty significant changes from what has been out there before, and so we will bring you any changes that we need to make to any expenditures we've had after we've had a chance, and our consultants have had a chance to fully digest that information. And the OIG did pull a pretty evil Halloween trick this week, and last night put out the desk review procedures, so basically what to expect when they come out and audit us. So definitely not a fun Halloween treat, but that's okay. At least it's better to know now rather than later. So, getting into the details of expenditures, last week when I talked to you, we told you that we had spent $27.7 million on COVID spending. This week, I am pleased to share with you that we have spent $40,570,647 on COVID spending. Now, that includes all sources, including the general fund, the CARES HAVA funds from elections, and so we'll get into those details. So within the general fund, we still remain at about $1.36 million in terms of total expenditures. That's up just a small bit, about $2,969 from last week for miscellaneous expenses like phone services, mileage reimbursement, new conference room phone, things like that. Within the general or the fire general fund, we're up to $23,884. This is up about $1,200 from last week. Most of that is for isolation costs and meals for individuals who have put into isolation. That will be FEMA reimbursable type expenses, so that's why we're leaving it in the general fund. And we remain at $58,000 in spending for coronavirus emergency supplemental funds. So shifting to CARES then, so the county's direct allocation was, again, roughly $99.6 million. Of that, we are now at $34,599,347. That's up over $12 million from last week. I have been in communication with you over the weeks. On September 23rd, you all approved a spending plan that included some personnel reimbursement for public health and public safety employees. We have done some of that reimbursement now for the period from 3/1 through 9/30 to preserve those costs. The beautiful thing of that is that when we spoke a week or two ago about ComCare's situation, I told you they had approximately $1,100 in fund balance to support a $40 million budget. Because they are on the front line and they are health services, which is what the September 9th Treasury guidance opened up the door to support. We were actually able to put in over $6 million into that fund to reimburse the costs of those frontline employees and supervisors, making that fund much healthier going forward. So that was the most significant portion of that increase from last week to this week. Now, we have also incurred expenses for operating supplies. You'll see throughout the building with the district court that plexiglass is going into the various courtrooms and spaces. That was approximately $45,000. We have purchased some materials for the arena in anticipation of reopening to support hockey, to support a bare knuckle fighting event, and to support a basketball game. And so there has been $49,000 spent on permanent seat covers that will allow for social distancing in the bowl so that they can close off seats so that people are distanced, as well as another $39,000 for plastic totes that the arena will be providing so that their employees don't have to search through purses and bags and things in light of COVID and touch those personal items. They'll be able to actually visibly see what's coming in so that they don't have to do those searches. And then finally, we spent about another $20,000 on more stackable cots at the jail, just in light of the situation with out-of-county housing in courts. So we have spent then about $24.7 million on the county's internal needs. Now, out of our CARES bucket, we have also now spent $9,914,148 to support schools and cities. So if you recall, on September 23rd, you did increase allocations to cities and schools. On October 7th, you actually approved an allocation plan for the schools themselves with 100% allocation. So, schools have started to return those agreements, and so we've started to cut additional checks to those folks. And so we have now spent $1,376,598 since last week as those agreements are coming in and checks are going out. And so that is $1.376 million of the additional $1.5 million you approved. So that number will continue to go up in the coming days. So we started with $99,636,917. We've spent $34,599,347. So we are at $65,037,570 remaining. But as you heard from Brent, a good chunk of that funding will be going out to our external partners, and then also with the testing services agreement that you allocated today or approved today. Again, testing is $20 million of your bucket, 20% of the allocation. And so this is certainly going to get us a long way down the road in spending those funds. So speaking of spark funding from the state, we had a $9.3 million allocation. We are now up to $4,188,792 of spending, primarily because of those safe operating grants moving through the process and actually getting paid. So there are 238 of those now that have been funded with a few in queue. And we have spent just under the $2.998 million that you authorized for the PPE kits, and we do anticipate fully exhausting those funds. So then moving to CARES HAVA funds, again, Help America Vote Act. This is what the Secretary of State awarded That is up $24,247 from last week. So we are now at a total of $339,761 of the approximately $420,000 that the Secretary of State allocated. That was done to do background checks and then to engage individuals to come in from ADECO to do some temp staffing for data entry to try and manage, of course, the increased workload that the Elections Office is experiencing right now. And then, though not CARES, we have spent time talking about the Center for Tech and Civic Life grant with elections coming up. Of that $816,000 that was allocated, $504,737 has been committed. As we talked about last week, the bulk of that was for 100 machines and 685 bar scanners. Since then, an additional $44,000 has basically been set aside to pay for all of the expenses associated with the mega site, everything from rent to quite a bit of security, setup, cleanup, and those expenses. So, with that, I am happy to answer any questions. Otherwise, I recommend you receive and file that spending status.
Okay, thanks again for the update. It's very thorough. Lindsay, appreciate it. I don't see any questions. I'll make a motion to receive and file your report.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second to receive and file the CARES report by Lindsay. I don't see other comments. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner O'Donnell? Commissioner Dennis?
Aye.
Commissioner Howell?
Aye.
Commissioner Cruz?
Aye.
Chairman Meitzner?
Aye. Lindsay, thanks again. Thanks to you and Brent and the committees and all of them. We say thanks a lot, but we do mean it. Don't mean to be remiss in not thanking. So thank you.
We appreciate it. I'll pass it along. And I think Tom has maybe one follow-up item.
Chairman, while
Yes.
Lindsay's got the podium, just to make you aware, we have no meeting next week, but we anticipate a special meeting on CARES expenditures at some point next week. And also, as the meeting was starting today, we received a call from our health officer, Dr. Mins, who had received a call from Dr. Antonios at Via Christi. They're at capacity right now, and I know in our Monday conversation with them, Via Christi was very close to capacity, and Wesley was almost at 90%. Well, that day has come today, apparently, for Via Christi, so they're wanting to talk with us about some emergency funding, perhaps. They're looking at options now for overflow patient and staffing concerns. So I just want to put it out on the table that we will be, after this meeting today, we'll be in conversation with our hospital partners to get an update, and I will keep the commission aware of what that conversation entails. And we will meet as a staff to look at potential CARES emergency type of funding since our hospitals have now hit the same place that other hospitals around the country are hitting with COVID patients. So we'll keep you aware on that. I just wanted to mention it. And I don't know if Lindsay had any comments or if you had questions on it. We'll do the best we can in an impromptu fashion here. So
I assume that hospitals are talking to the state and communicating up and down the chain.
I assume that too, sir. We are data poor right now because we just got this information literally as the meeting was started, but clearly we'll open communication channels.
Yeah, not fun news. Thank you, Tom, for the update. Commissioner Cruz.
Thank you, Chairman. Thanks for the update, Tom. That's pretty shocking news and sad, really. So Via Christi you mentioned, but I know that Wesley was not at capacity. Have we reached out to them?
I have not heard from Wesley. We heard from Dr. Mins, who had heard from Dr. Antonios. In our conversation on Monday, in side conversation with Bill at Wesley, they were about 90% capacity on Wednesday. I don't know what their status is today. But clearly, they have a great relationship between each other of moving patients around so that people are cared for properly. So assuming that if Via Christi is at capacity, Wesley's not far behind.
Okay. So I guess when our community hears that, I want to make sure that people understand that if they have an emergent need, to still go seek treatment. I don't want people to hear that our hospitals are full and not seek emergent treatment. So that's what kind of comes to my mind when you tell me that. But I'd like to have a conversation quickly after this so that we can figure out what to do.
Okay. Commissioner Howell.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just, I guess a follow-up question to your status there. Can they please provide information regarding, is it ICU beds or is it ventilators or is it just patients being admitted? Is it COVID patients specifically, that maybe there's a COVID ward, for example, and that's the ward that they're speaking of, or is it the hospital in its entirety? I think we need to have some more information regarding that. And I'll just say that unfortunately, I don't have the privilege of listening in to the hospital status on Mondays. I did last week, and I appreciate that opportunity, but one of the things that came up last week was one of the hospitals statused that a number of their patients that they're treating are from out of our area. They're out of county or out of state patients. And just a rough ballpark, about half the patients they were speaking of were from not from Wichita area. So if you extrapolate that out, I assume that the other hospital has a number of patients as well that were not from here. With that in mind, if we're going to request additional CARES funds for that issue, I think it should be appropriate that we would talk to the state of Kansas to provide that money from the state, knowing that this is a regional hospital that has a regional issue because of their regional services provided to patients from all over the place. It shouldn't be just a Sedgwick County issue.
Very good, sir.
Thank you.
Commissioner Dennis?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I know that you provided an update on Monday, and I appreciate that each week, but this is all new information. I think we need further information than just that Via Christi is at capacity. I think you're almost going to have to go back to do the same thing you did on Monday and find out how many are in each of the different hospitals, how many are in ICU, how many are on ventilators, how many are out of county, and how many are Sedgwick County residents. So I think I do appreciate that update because it's kind of frightening, honestly, but I think we need some further detail so that we can make sure that we're going forward the right direction. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Thanks, Tom, for the update and the discussion. Okay, next up. Good morning, Tanya.
Good morning, Chairman and Commissioners. Tanya Cole, Assistant County Manager. I wanted to provide you with an update on our COVID-19 public awareness campaign, and we'll have a funding request to continue this campaign through December 30th of 2020. To date, you have approved $150,000 of CARES funding towards marketing advertising from mid-June through early November. Our community outreach goals have been to increase public awareness on what individuals can do to protect themselves and others from the spread of COVID-19 through healthy behaviors, and that's to wear a mask, social distance, wash your hands, and stay home if you're sick. Our target audience have been the minority communities, which include African American community, the Hispanic and Latino community, the Vietnamese community, and of course our cities and communities in Sedgwick County. Our public awareness campaign media strategies platforms have been outdoor billboard displays to include static and digital outdoor displays, radio ads, print ads to include Active Age, Derby Informer, Wichita Eagle, Sedgwick County Post, Mount Hope Clarion, The Community Voice, Times Sentinel, West Side Story, East Wichita News, Ark Valley News, Bel Air Breeze, Park City Post, and Keachai Lamp. We've also used social media platforms to include Facebook, Instagram, and geofencing, television to include network television and cable networks. We've also had a town hall with Dr. Menz, Antonios, and Ebersol, and we've also done some advertising and marketing on the CARES funding. Just to give you some numbers on how effective our campaign has been, COP Media provided some reports on our number of impressions and clicks, and I'd like to just give you those numbers. So year to date, so that's from June to September for our campaign. For social media, Facebook and Instagram, they've had over 1.8 million impressions. For geofencing, they've had 1.2 impressions. Outdoor posters and display posters, 340,000 impressions. For radio, 495. Print, 672 impressions, and TV, 853,000 impressions. And again, an impression is every time an advertisement has been viewed. So for our website, I want to give you some numbers. For our COVID-19 website, beginning in March, we saw 28,000 hits to our website, our COVID-19 website. In April, we saw 84,000 hits. May, 69,000 hits. In June, 80,000 hits to our COVID-19 website. In July, that increased to 108,000. In August, 65,000. And then in September, 44,000. For our Facebook, just in comparison, January and February, we were seeing for our average reach, and these are our top 5 posts, about 7,000 was our reach for people on Facebook. In March, we started seeing 33,000 people was our reach. April, 80,000. May, 28,000. And then in July, we jumped up to 45,000. August, 35,000 people was our average reach. And then in September, 20,000. For number of likes on our Facebook, January, February, we were around 7,000. In September, we've doubled that, so we're around 15,000 likes. So we started to see the progression of likes to double in September. So as we grow near to our dates ending on our public awareness campaign, we want to continue to focus on marketing and advertising on our health order mask mandate. We also want to push several videos that we've collaborated with doctors from the Medical Society of Sedgwick County. We want to push some print ads. We have holidays coming up, and so we want to focus on safe and healthy practices during COVID and flu and cold season, as well as continue to push what to look for in symptoms and where to find testing for COVID. We also felt that we were very successful with our town hall, and so we want to work with our influencers in our communities, such as business leaders, doctors, and our health department, and do some more town halls. We also would like to produce some videos joining ComCare and getting the word out to help end users to get access to care, as we see a higher number of individuals affected by mental illness, suicidal ideation, and substance abuse disorders resulting from the pandemic and the resulting economic recession due to unemployment, worry, illness, and stress. So with that today, my request is for an additional $100,000 to continue providing messaging on the various media platforms and outreach. Again, that's TV, digital, social, print ads, and production of the videos I talked about with ComCare through December 30th of this year. Our strategic communications team will continue to collaborate and consult with the work with our outside partners. That's Bothner and Bradley, Tammy Bradley, CML Collective, Christina Long, A/B&C Bilingual Resources, Claudia Amaro, our Vietnamese community, and then of course COP Media, who assists us with our media buys. These firms will assist us with making Sedgwick County's work more culturally relevant for these communities, helping with us with translations and providing the media channels that will touch the audiences in these Sedgwick County communities. So again, our ask is $100,000 to use CARES fundings for the communications and outreach efforts, and I'd be glad to answer any questions that you might have.
Okay, thank you for the update, Tanya. I don't have any questions. I don't think there's any questions. I'll make a motion to approve the $100,000 additional communications budget spending from the CARES funds. Been a motion and a second to approve the additional $100,000 towards communications. Any other comments? Being none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner O'Donnell?
Aye.
Commissioner Dennis?
Aye.
Commissioner Howell?
Aye.
Commissioner Cruz?
Aye.
Chairman Meitzner?
Aye.
Thank you,
Okay,
Commissioner.
Thank you, Tanya. Appreciate your work. Thanks to the communication staff as well, what they've been doing. Okay, I think that's the end of item B, Tom, unless there's nothing. Okay. All right, so Madam Clerk, next item, please.
Item C, report of the Board of Bids and Contracts regular meeting on October 22nd, 2020.
Good morning, Joe.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. Joe Thomas, Purchasing Director. The regular meeting we had of the Board of Bids and Contracts resulted in one item that we would like to have your approval for. The item is change order number 1, which is a Moodle LMS hosting and server support for human resources. And the recommendation is to accept the change order with e-learning experts to extend that contract for 1 year and to accept the hosting services in the amount of $5,100. I'll be happy to try to answer any questions you may have, and I recommend approval.
Okay, any questions for Joe from the commission? I don't see any, Joe, so I'll make a motion to approve. There's a motion and a second to approve as presented. No other comments? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner O'Donnell? Commissioner Dennis? Commissioner Howell?
Aye.
Commissioner Cruz? Chairman Meitzner?
Aye.
Thank you, Commissioners.
You bet. Thanks, Joe, for all the work. Okay, Madam Clerk, next item, please.
Consent agenda.
Mr. Stoltz.
Chairman and Commissioners, Tom Stoltz, County Manager, recommend approval of consent items D through M. Mary. There is an N. Nora on consent, but we are going to defer that until the next meeting. That has some adjustments that have to happen. So requesting D through M today.
Okay. There's presented. I'll make a motion that we approve consent items D as in David through M as in Mary, and not to include item N as in Nancy. That's my motion. Then a motion and a second. Any other questions, comments? Being none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner O'Donnell? Aye. Commissioner Dennis?
Aye.
Commissioner Howell?
Aye.
Commissioner Cruz?
Aye.
Chairman Meitzner.
Aye. Okay, Madam Clerk, let's keep on the plan that we had. I think I'm going to make a motion now to recess from the Board of County Commission and call to order the governing body of Fire District Number 1.
Second.
Motion and a second to recess to the Fire District. Madam Clerk, call a roll.
Commissioner O'Donnell? Aye. Commissioner?
Wait, this is just a motion to recess. Yep. Aye.
Commissioner Dennis?
Aye.
Commissioner Howell?
Aye.
Commissioner Cruz?
Aye.
Chairman Meitzner.
Aye. Okay, we now call to order the governing body of Fire District Number 1. Madam Clerk, next item, please.
Roll call. Commissioner O'Donnell? Present. Commissioner Dennis?
Present.
Commissioner Howell?
Present.
Commissioner Cruz?
Present.
Chairman Meitzner.
Present. Next item, please.
Consent agenda.
Commissioners, Tom Stoltz again. A request you approve consent items A and B on the fire agenda.
Okay, consent items A and B include personnel policy adjustment and resolution to approve their 2021 holidays. Okay, I'll make a motion to approve consent items A and B.
Second.
Been a motion and a second. Any other comments? Being none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner O'Donnell? Commissioner Dennis?
Aye.
Commissioner Howell?
Aye.
Commissioner Cruz?
Aye.
Chairman Meitzner.
Aye. Okay, is there any other thing in front of the fire district? I don't see any, so we will adjourn the fire district meeting, and we will return to the regular meet or the special meeting of the county commission. With that, I've been requested to have an off-agenda item related to commission action. So I'll make a motion for an off-agenda item.
Second.
There's a second. Madam Clerk, any other comments? Being none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll for an off-agenda item.
Commissioner O'Donnell? Aye. Commissioner Dennis?
Aye.
Commissioner Howell?
Aye.
Commissioner Cruz?
Aye.
Chairman Meitzner.
Aye. Okay, we're on an off-agenda item. I'd like to make just a couple of statements here. I've made the motion. I think this is related. This will be related to Commissioner O'Donnell and some of the information. I want to kind of point out, please, that there is an active and want to remind everybody there's an active and ongoing lawsuit involving Commissioner O'Donnell. Commissioners previously have not commented on ongoing lawsuits. District Attorney Mark Bennett has initiated an investigation into potential ouster proceedings regarding the release of a recording related to a civil lawsuit involving Commissioner O'Donnell. This is being done in cooperation with Wichita Police Department and the Sedgwick County Sheriff's Office. There is an election next week for the commission seats in District 2 and 3, and thousands of residents will have and already have cast their ballot. We have heard from many of our constituents on this matter and do not take this matter lightly. As I have mentioned before, it is important to remember that there are legal proceedings that are being followed in this matter and need to run through their rightful process in this matter. As we discuss this item, I just ask my fellow commissioners to act respectfully, follow order, and use decorum. And commissioners, and lastly, commissioners, we're reminded that we have limited authority on what we can do in this matter. And perhaps if there's anything that we have procedural, we'll have Mike Papoon, our county counselor, available for comments. So with that, we will start. Unless, Mike, do you have anything to add from those comments?
Not at this time, sir.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we're in the off-agenda item. Commissioner Howell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't feel like I need to make any comments at the moment, but I might in a little bit. But I would just say there is a resolution that has been prepared that I would like to, I guess I'd like to read and have us consider for adoption this morning. So with that, I'd ask Justin Wagner, please hand out the resolution.
And Commissioner Howell, Justin Wagner, Assistant County Counselor. If you would, to clarify what resolution you have in mind, Commissioner
This
Howell.
is the one that's entitled, "A Resolution of the Board of County Commissioners of Sedgwick County, Kansas, to censure Commissioner Michael O'Donnell and request that he resign from his position as a county commissioner."
All right, thank you. Let me put my mask back on. I'll go distribute that to everyone. Thank you.
Thanks, Justin.
Thanks, Justin.
Mr. Wagner, do you think it needs to be explained by council, or should I go ahead and just read the resolution to start off?
Mike Papoon, County Counselor. I think you can just read the resolution. I think it's self-explanatory, but I'll be happy to answer any questions, sir.
Let me just start off. I guess it's just a minor comment, and that is it grieves me to do this, but someone needs to read the resolution, so I will read the resolution at this time. It's titled, "A Resolution of the Board of County Commissioners of Sedgwick County, Kansas, to censure Commissioner Michael B. O'Donnell II and request that he resign from his position as a county commissioner. Whereas pursuant to KSA 19-101, fourth, the Board of County Commissioners has the power to do all acts in relation to the concerns of the county necessary to exercise of its corporate and administrative powers. And whereas pursuant to KSA 19-101, fifth, the Board of County Commissioners has the power to exercise the powers of home rule to determine local affairs and government. And whereas the Board of County Commissioners adopted a code of ethical conduct for county commissioners within resolution number 159-2018, it's entitled Code of Ethical Conduct, on November the 14th, 2018, and whereas, as stated in the Code of Ethical Conduct preamble, quote, "The opportunity to serve the public as a county commissioner is a high honor and confers sacred trust to the office holder. Stewardship of the public trust not only requires allegiance to the law, but also obligates a county commissioner to act in ways consistent with the highest standards of ethical conduct. And whereas the audio recording from a November 3rd, 2019 meeting between Commissioner O'Donnell, State Representative Michael Capps, Wichita City Council Member James Clendenin, and Matthew Colburn, and Commissioner O'Donnell's apparent involvement in the facts and circumstances surrounding the aforementioned meeting display a lack of honesty and integrity. And whereas Sedgwick County District Attorney Mark Bennett has initiated an investigation that involves Commissioner O'Donnell, and the District Attorney's press release regarding the investigation included statutes referring to ouster of an elected official. And whereas the Board of County Commissioners of Sedgwick County has deemed it appropriate to formally censure Michael B. O'Donnell II due to conduct inconsistent with the Code of Ethical Conduct, and request that he resign from his position as County Commissioner for District 2. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of County Commissioners of Sedgwick County, Kansas, that Section 1, Principle 1 of the Code of Ethical Conduct states that a county commissioner should be vigorously dedicated to demonstrate the ideals of honesty, openness, and accountability in all public matters involving county government. An audio recording was recently released to the public regarding a meeting Commissioner O'Donnell participated in with Representative Michael Capps, City of Wichita Councilmember James Clendenin and Matthew Colburn on November the 3rd, 2019, known as, in this document, audio recording. During the course of the audio recording, it became clear that all participants, including Commissioner O'Donnell, were engaged in an attempt to shift any blame for the production or involvement of the production of a city council. Let me read that sentence again. During the course of the audio recording, it became clear that all participants, including Commissioner O'Donnell, were engaged in an attempt to shift any blame for the production and or involvement in the production of a City of Wichita mayoral election negative campaign video away from themselves and towards other individuals. The content of the audio recording could lead to a reasonable conclusion that this attempt to shift blame was dishonest and that the other individuals sought to be blamed were not involved in the production of the negative campaign video. The comments and conduct by Commissioner O'Donnell within the audio recording were not consistent with the democratic ideals of honesty, openness, and accountability which are stated within Principle 1 of the Code of Ethical Conduct. Section 2. Principle 2 of the Code of Ethical Conduct states that a county commissioner should model decorum, respect for others, and civility in all public relationships. Comments and conduct by Commissioner O'Donnell described within Section 1 of this resolution and other comments he made during the audio recording demonstrated a failure to model decorum, respect for others, and civility in all public relationships, contrary to Principle 2 of the Code of Ethical Conduct. Section 3. As a result of the comments and conduct of Commissioner O'Donnell within the audio recording, as described in Sections 1 and 2 of this resolution, the Board of County Commissioners hereby censures Commissioner O'Donnell and formally requests that he resign his position as a County Commissioner for District 2, effective immediately. Also, if Commissioner O'Donnell should be elected as a County Commissioner for District 2 with a term beginning in January of 2021, the Board of County Commissioners requests that he decline to serve such term. This resolution shall be effective upon its adoption. Let me just say, as I said before I read that, I'm grieved. This is in front of us today, and I'm grieved that I had to read that. Each of the commissioners have stated publicly in the last few days that we have individually called for his resignation. And at this time, it's not clear what Commissioner O'Donnell plans to do. So I think it's clear in the resolution that this is our formal position of the County Commission should we adopt this resolution today. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I would move the adoption of this resolution.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, there's a motion and a second to adopt the resolution as presented and as read by Commissioner Howell. Commissioner Cruz?
Thank you, Chairman. First, it is a sad day for Sedgwick County, but I just want to state that I want to thank the young woman who came forward last year for speaking out against what she felt was wrong. Sexual harassment is serious, and a scandal like this is an embarrassment to our community. There are women every single day who are sexually harassed and don't come forward, and those who do come forward oftentimes aren't even believed. So, to try to blame an innocent man for such a disgusting act is despicable. What we heard on that tape is not a shock to me because I have heard this type of behavior the past 2 years down this hallway. So, I will say that outside of the attitude on the tape that says this is just how politics is, those comments toward Dr. Tiller and his family are nothing short of being pro-life. I can't say that, we should not be spending time on this. This is a distraction for what we should be doing as county commissioners. We just heard that our hospitals are full. We are in the middle of a pandemic. This is taking us away from the work of Sedgwick County. That's what we have to be focused on. So I'll close with this. The only way out of this is to resign, is to admit what you did and ask for forgiveness. That is your only way out. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner Cruz. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Commissioner O'Donnell.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. These are my first public comments since Friday addressing this issue. So I'd like to take a step back and start from the beginning. First, sorry about that. First, I stand by and reiterate my statements that I had nothing to do with the creation, production, script, or initiation of the Protect Wichita Girls video in last year's mayoral election. I raised money for billboards, and that money was spent on this video. For the media, I've brought copies of my legal response to the allegations in Mayor Whipple's lawsuit. In that filing, under penalty of perjury, I again reiterate that I did not write the script or provide overview of that shameful video. Following the video's production and release, I did make serious errors in judgment by partaking in an effort to cover up who actually produced the video and shifting the blame to those who had nothing to do with it. This is the conversation that you all heard on Friday. And though I never acted on the comments in that conversation, it was terrible. I deeply regret my actions. I would like to express my sincere apologies to everyone that I've hurt through my stupid decisions. There is no excuse for my actions, and no excuses are going to be given here today. To my colleagues, I want to apologize to each of you. Lacey, Pete, David, Jim, I'm sorry. Sorry for the distraction and the embarrassment. You deserve better. You are all honorable people, and I did a dishonorable thing. I understand the action that we're taking today. I don't begrudge you for it. I would do the same thing if I was in your shoes, because it was wrong. I will abstain from this action because I am under a civil lawsuit with Mayor Whipple, but I support what you're doing today. I truly do, and I do not hold it against any one of you. 2020 has been a bad year for me, for all of us, for our community. I think I've changed a lot since that video happened. I lost my father in February. And he's not here for me to talk to and get counsel on that issue. But that is not an excuse for my actions, because they were wrong. There you go. Thank you. In closing, to my constituents, my actions in the aftermath of this video were terrible and once again represented a serious lapse in judgment. I apologize for my actions. You, the citizens of District 2, deserve better, and I will be better. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner O'Donnell. Okay, I don't see any other comments. Madam Clerk, there's been a motion and a second, and I don't see any other comments. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner O'Donnell?
Abstain.
Commissioner Dennis?
Aye.
Commissioner Howell?
Aye.
Commissioner Cruz?
Aye.
Chairman Meitzner?
Aye. Motion carries. Okay, that takes the off-agenda item. Madam Clerk, next item, please.
Other.
Does any of the commissioners have anything other to comment on or state? And I don't see any of that. So with that, we have an executive session. Commissioner Cruz?
Thank you,
Chairman. I move that the Board of County Commissioners recess into executive session for 15 minutes until 10:26 for consultation with an attorney for the county regarding matters deemed privilege in the attorney-client relationship in order to discuss pending litigation. And that the Board of County Commissioners return to a live broadcast from executive session at 10:26.
And why don't you make that 10:30? Let's do that at 10:30.
10:30. We will return to a live broadcast at 10:30.
Okay. I'll make the second that. Because we have a bunch of cameras, would it be easier if we went to the boardroom for that so the cameras and the people can stay here?
Yes, we can certainly do that, sir.
Okay, why don't we do that, and that way you all can stay in here. We'll be gone for about 20 minutes. We'll return at 10:30. His motion in a second. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner O'Donnell? Aye. Commissioner Dennis?
Aye.
Commissioner Howell?
Aye.
Commissioner Cruz?
Aye.
Chairman Meitzner?
Aye. Okay, we will go into executive session. The commission will vacate to the boardroom down the hall. Thank you.
Chairman, I'll let you know when we're ready to come back on, okay?
Okay, thank you. My clock shows 10:28.
Five seconds.
Okay.
You're live.
Okay, thank you. Welcome back, everybody. We have returned from executive session. No binding action was taken. At this time, I'd like to make a motion. Based on the briefing from our council, I hereby move that we authorize the payment of $295,000 in exchange for a full and final release of all possible claims against Sedgwick County as raised in the lawsuit of Joel Brabick versus Lovelace and Sedgwick County. That's my motion.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Okay, so Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Commissioner O'Donnell?
Aye.
Commissioner Dennis?
Aye.
Commissioner Howell?
Aye.
Commissioner Cruz?
Aye.
Chairman Meitzner?
Aye. Commissioner Dennis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate it. As many of you know, in a previous job, I was Chief of Safety for a very large organization, and so safety is always something that's forefront in my thoughts. I'm concerned that we've had a number of incidents here in the recent past. We had a huge fire here. Well, I don't know huge, but we had a very expensive fire here in this building. We've had accidents involving the Sheriff's Department, Building and Construction Department, Public Works, and then today another involving Public Works that we're going to spend $295,000 that could have been spent for ComCare or aging or health department or a number of different organizations would have been better to spend that funding for. I know we have a safety program, but I think we need to enhance our safety program here within Sedgwick County, and we probably need to discuss this further at a staff meeting in the future to see what actions we need to take. But I call upon the manager to take a look at what we need to do in the future so that we're not spending taxpayers' money for this type of situation, and we're able to use the taxpayers' funding for things that really impact our community. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you for your comments. Any other comments from the commissioners? I don't see any. With that, we will stand adjourned for the day. Thank you.